All right. Tough one tonight, folks. Arizona 71, UConn 67. UConn drops to 4-1 on the season. The Wild Craps move to 5-0. Tough one tonight. Huskies kind of got rinsed on the glass, -20. Didn't hit some free throws. But other than that, I'm not a moral victories guy, but maybe I'm a little bit of a moral victories guy tonight. I don't know. Came away feeling good about a lot of things. We're down 2 starters. No quasi All-American center. No 5-star freshman. I thought we did okay. Could have been worse. Hurlemania, you were there. What say you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, this is hyperbole because I paid for the thing, but it was an honor and a privilege to be in Gamble tonight and see those two teams. I mean, if those aren't the two best teams in the country, I'd love to see who is. The possibility is the team we play next Friday. Dan kind of hinted on this in his post game. Two things can be true at the same time. That I think full credit to Arizona. That team's terrifying. Koa Pete's incredible. Bradley was insane at the point guard position. Krivas in stretches was unstoppable on the inside. And UConn gets into a 13-point hole, and they're not getting really anything out of Alex and Solo in the first half. And yet, for them to have that many things kind of against them, against an elite team, to turn around and almost pull the thing off. This is not a moral victories program, but I'll throw it down. Tonight I learned this UConn team can absolutely win the national championship. They're going to need to be healthy to do it. That is the problem right now.
Yeah.
I just thought in the end, they got something from everybody tonight. Some couple of players a little later than they needed to get it from, but they got something from everybody tonight. And listen, full marks to Arizona. That's a hell of a team. It's November. They're terrifying every November, including this November. But they've knocked over a lot of really big teams early, including UConn at Gamble tonight. It's really impressive what they've done. And UConn tonight down 2 starters, with their 2 lead players who are available to play in the game, playing bad for 3 quarters of the game, to be down 2 at the half and to have the lead with 2 to go felt like a minor miracle. But what I learned tonight about this team was they're willing to go in there and fight for it. And they weren't for the first half. And Dan was harping on this post game. It's weird with the rebound number because I expect the rebound differential to be bad given the situation, but it shouldn't be that bad was Dan's argument. And that's fair enough. But for them to, when they get down 13 with 13 minutes to go, that game could go in a really bad direction. And I'm just impressed and proud of the fight and the way that they just worked the problem to pull themselves back into it on a night where they were just so shorthanded and so just outsized at every position. That's the biggest opposing team I've ever seen at every position in Gamble. And I'm old. I've seen a lot of teams coming to Gamble. The Patrick Sparks Florida team was up there, but it wasn't every position. Every Arizona guy is huge. And that gives me a little pause because I think UConn's a bigger team this year. And they don't have Terrace, but the other players are big, but the Arizona guys are cyborgs. And UConn's getting killed on the boards. They can't make a free throw. The 3-point numbers aren't good, and yet they had a chance to win it. And so, it stinks to lose, obviously, but I'm going to sleep fine tonight after this. I think the last game of tonight taught me this is a team that can really do the thing. So let's all jump on the ride together and see if they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I have very similar feeling to what I had after the Kansas loss in 24. And I'm not trying to find a lot of hyperbole, though, where, you've got your 5-star freshman sitting on the bench. Your big man is fighting an ankle injury. Cam Spencer didn't have a toe. And they gave him a real fight. They kind of had a couple points in the game where things just got a little farther away from them. In Kansas, it was kind of the first 10 minutes. It was definitely the 5 minutes in the second half where this thing got to real Mayday territory, real quick. But like last year, the bottom probably falls out on this thing.
Yeah,
And
the
this
game at
year,
St. John's is the example.
yeah, and this year I think what you saw was them kind of dig out of that hole. Now, I mean, obviously there was some issues tonight. They got absolutely shuttle fucked on the boards tonight. I don't 43-23.
Technical term.
And you got to make your free throws. And there's a lot of stuff, obviously, you want to see Alex have a better game. You probably want to see So have a little bit better of a game. They've got to get big time performances from their arguably two best players when it matters the most. But not having Terrace Reed in that game, I just felt like completely changed the calculus of how the game was played. I mean, Arizona was kind of able to hit the gaps a little bit. Dan talked a little bit about this, in the post game where I think we did the best job of enforcing the scouting report, which is to close those gaps. And we let them into the gaps, and there really wasn't a lot of fear for them coming into the paint tonight. Whereas I think with Terrace, you're looking at a team that's going to have to pick their spots a little bit more. I still think we're probably going to get beat on the boards. But we're not going to get rinsed by 20. Probably going to be closer in the neighborhood of -8 to 10. And I think you're just looking at a dramatically different game. So all things considered, I think there was some real bright spots. I really liked what I saw from Jaden Ross again tonight. It's really hard to ask too much more of Eric Ryba given the situation than what he was able to give tonight. Actually led the team in scoring tonight with 15 points. I think had you told me at 6:30 p.m. tonight that Eric Ryba would have had 4 boards and 15 points and knocked down a couple threes tonight, I would have felt pretty good about the outcome of the game. But all things considered, that was a bright spot. I mean, I don't want to get too much into poor Dwayne Caroma. He's got bowling balls for hands offensively, but good in ball screens, played a pretty decent game defensively. I thought he did enough for what they needed him to do, in a game that he probably wouldn't see the light of day in, normally if Reed had been healthy. Just didn't have enough at the end of the day. Free throws, I thought, were just really the difference tonight. We were 50% from the charity stripe. They were not.
Yeah, Ryba and Karoma are 3 for 10 from the line, but they're not good free throw shooters. So it sucks, but it's also, I'd like him to be at least 50%, but it's hard. Eric was incredible tonight, and the crowd was trying to pull him into it the whole time. The crowd really wanted him to shoot threes in the first half, where I tweeted I was upset about it. And then second half, he hit one, and I was like, fuck it. Let's go. Let's see what this looks like. And, I thought he was great. And the reason sucks, but the number of minutes they've gotten into this kid now in 5 games compared to what the plan was in August, it's going to serve him and this team well down the road. He's got the green light from 3 for me. I think he does for the staff at this point. And there's not going to be a lot of teams they face that can pose the issues that Arizona does. So I was thrilled with his performance tonight. In the post, it's just the rebounding thing. It's tough. Dan was really upset with the way they were handling ball screens, and it was bad. But Arizona in the first half kept spamming. They would get to the right side of the low block, and it was just free money. Just 2 points, 2 points, 2 points constantly. And UConn cleaned that up. Arizona finished with 42 points in the paint. 18 in the first half, 24 in the second half. So they weren't doing the same play, but they were getting in there. And it's just a terrible size matchup for UConn without Terrace Reed in. And tonight it's really amazing to almost win a game where you get out rebounded by 20, a game that has one fast break point between the two teams. And UConn shoots, 8 for 25 from 3. Arizona being 2 for 10 from 3 isn't surprising. They're one of the worst 3-point in terms of they don't take threes. And if you had those
340s on KenPom, aren't they, or something like that in threes?
Yeah, if I had that roster, I wouldn't take threes either. Arizona is, I forget the style. They're 360th in Division I in terms of 3-pointers as a percentage of their field goal attempts. For those of you unaware how many teams we're rocking with this year, it's 365. So they take the fifth fewest percentage of their offense from three. So UConn, and that's what Dan was mad about. Like, it shouldn't have been a surprise that Arizona was going to go inside, but guys just weren't able to wall up on hedges the way you'd like. But also the matchups were just not pleasant in terms of some of the matchups. But I think they got a lot. I mean, Jalen Stewart was really great in the first half when things were going really sideways in the first half. He's why that's a 2-point game at the half. I thought he was great defensively, and it's every time there's a big game with this kid, it feels like he steps up. The question is, can they get him to do it for a full game? And also Sunday, when they're playing Bryant, is he going to just have 5 and 2? Like, can they get this consistently? So I thought Jalen was great in the first half. Jaden Ross defensively. We could just do the whole show about Dwayne Caroma, though, if you'd like. That was an experience.
An entertaining basketball player is where I'll leave it. I don't think I have more fun watching anybody play basketball on this team than Dwayne Caroma. Does that make me a real sicko?
Yes, absolutely. He was fighting for rebounds on the inside, so I was glad to see somebody do it. I mean, he only gets 2, but he was going into the tall trees and just trying to make shit work when he's the least talented guy on the floor, to be fair. So I appreciate his drive, his moxie. He's got bowling balls for hands, but he was in a night where you needed somebody that could possess some size and try and put some sort of defensive wall up. He did a good job with that, as well as can be expected. Silas was okay. I thought he was fine. I mean, you want to do the solo Alex thing, though?
I don't know. It's hard. Like, I'm kind of glasses half full and half empty with Alex. I think obviously you take Terrace out of the equation, just switches the calculus up as to how much attention you can give to certain guys on the court. And if you're Arizona, you kind of now have the luxury to, like, all right, what piece do we really want to try to take off the board? And if you're going to try to take a piece off the board, it's probably going to be one of the two of them, right? And I thought they did a reasonably good job with that with Alex. They were also holding a ton tonight. And that's starting to become, I think, a thing that we're starting to see more and more of in the scout with us, is that you can get away with holding us coming around.
Especially Alex. I'm hard on Alex, but he was getting, like, physically assaulted in the first half.
100%, right? So, like, I think that's tough. But we've also got to figure out a way to be a little bit more resourceful, I think, in those situations. We can't, it was kind of your standard, if you were going to kind of call it something, I guess, it was kind of your standard issue, not great performance from Alex, where kind of wasn't very effective in the first half, then finds a way to make some, like, really big shots down the stretch. But, like, they got to get more than 8 and 3 from him. Like, they just got to against a team like this tonight.
There's no universe in which Alex Karaban should be taking 5 shots in that game.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
And like, Solo, I don't know if it's just a cold thing right now. I've kind of got my eye on it. Like, remember Cam Spencer early in 24, kind of got off to a cold start too. We've always kind of had a guy that's started that way. I'm hoping that's the situation with Solo, but, like, 1 for 8 from 3-point line for 3 isn't great. 5 for 14 from the field total. It's 14 points, but it's like they just got to have more from those guys in these big situations. But again, you take 1 or 2 starters out, you put Mullins on the court, you put Reed on the court, and there's the calculus of how you need to be thinking about us, I think, just changes dramatically. So, like, it's really kind of hard for me to get in there on them, I guess.
Yeah, it sucks. The injuries, they are what they are. They're going to have to figure them out. At least Braylon's close for if he's available, although this wouldn't have been a game for him. And, Sunday, I mean, Terrace should not play Sunday, even if he is doing, backflips. So it's all about really the Illinois game, which is a week from Friday, is the next big test. And that's a team that looked phenomenal in the first half, hot balls, but I don't know if you've had the game on.
Not a good second half for them.
No, not as such. They are, in fact, currently losing by 9 to Alabama. That game has completely flipped on Illinois, who's a really good team and going to be a very difficult test. But great night for college hoops on FS1. Yeah, I think that the problem, Alex, it was just he was so they were trying to physically wear him out. We know that he was good in the second half. Solo, I'm getting a little concerned. He's now below 27% from three this year.
Yeah.
And if he's not hitting threes offensively, I mean, he's driving more, but that's not going to be the thing with Solo. And it's a shooter thing. We went through this last year with Alex. Like, the only way you get out of it is just shoot through it. But I think defensively he remains like better than last year. But if they're not going to get any offense out of him from three, it's really hard to see what I don't think he's going to be a consistent, like, drive the paint and draw fouls guy. I would like him to. That would be nice. But if he did that, he wouldn't still be in college. He'd be at the next level.
Yeah.
So it's difficult right now when you're getting nothing from Solo on the perimeter, and you just have to hope that he's going to shoot his way out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, glass full, half full, glass half empty, right? Like, I think Mullins obviously being on the perimeter changes up a lot for Solo in terms of the attention that you can give to him. And again, I think teams now, just without that other perimeter shooter out there, they can be a little bit more mindful of where Solo's at. Solo's also missing a lot of wide open shots, and like, I guess I'll give my two sides of the coin to this. I think, first of all, I think the rotation, so the injury situations impacted a little bit. And Solo gets sped up pretty easily. And he has really since his freshman year. So I think there's a little bit about that. Rotation has something to do with it. My glass half empty approach with him might be a little dark. But he's like the one guy that I look at on this roster, and I feel like Solo has a gear that I'm not sure anybody else has on the roster. Where, like we saw Marquette last year, where he could just lose his mind in a game, right? Like, really, really lose his mind. I'm not sure anybody else on the roster. I think there's some guys that can probably do that, right? But like, Solo's the guy that I think, if we were to take their best and their most impactful in a particular game, I think Solo's like peak might be better than anybody else's peak. My concern right now is we're kind of chasing that, because I'm not really sure. Like, we were talking about this offline. Like, I kind of compare it to like you kind of chasing young pitchers, right? Where you get like a guy that's kind of a pro prospect, that just has very different stuff and movement on his pitches than other guys do, right? And like a young, really talented young arm, you'll watch them come out and like they're absolutely capable of going out there, giving you 7, punching out 11, walking 1, and just being dominant in a way that the other guys aren't dominant. And they're going to give you the stinkers now and then as well. Like, you're going to have to deal with those, like you do with any young player. But a lot of times, what they give you is like that very stressful four inning start where the pitch count's high and they're like on skates, right? And it's just not like clean. You're in the game, they kind of do the job, but like it's not clean. And I feel like if I'm gonna translate that to like a basketball situation, it's like I'm looking at Solo and like the stats look good, man. It was like 14 points tonight. He ended up with 2 boards tonight. 3 for the only guy that shot pretty well from the free throw line tonight. But like only 1 assist, but he was 5 for 14. He was 1 for 8 from 3, and a couple wide open missed shots. And so it's not. I'd kind of rather see that more in like the the 3, 4 for 8 kind of stat line with him than what I've seen so far. And you're not gonna like sneeze at the 14 points, but I don't want to get carried away. But that's like my very bleak, dark look at Solo, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it was a really difficult 14 points. That's the thing. Like, it's supposed to be with him, the offense is supposed to be easier, and it hasn't been yet. Now it can get there. I mean, yeah. I hope it gets there. The other player I had a hard time figuring out tonight, it was Malachi. The one player we haven't really talked about is Malachi Smith, who finishes with 8 assists in 17 minutes and only 1 turnover, which is great. But he was 1 for 5 from the field and got really, really sped up.
Yes. Malachi's motor's almost a little bit too high. I can't believe I'm even saying that about a basketball player at this level, but like, he is just so dialed up. You know, where you've got guys where you're kind of like wondering, like, hey man, like, can we at least look like we're having a good time out there? Can you at least find me a little bit of energy? I just want Malachi to take a deep breath before he comes in the game. Because he was at times tonight, like, just flat out. I mean, times tonight, times the season, flat out of control. At times he looked a real stabilizing force, and other times it's kind of the deal with him. It's a little bit of the MO. But holy smokes. I mean, especially the dribble drive into transition. That was a big possession. And just dribbled right into a guy and lost the ball. When it was like the most obvious, pull it out, get into your offense. Like, the game feel with him sometimes isn't there. He's just so go, 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 go. I think they're going to figure that out with him. You know what I mean? And I think that might even be part of the marching orders with him now that he's not expected to carry a starter's load like he did at Dayton. You know, I think part of the marching orders are probably, you know, get out there. You got 20 minutes, give him hell, right? And so I think that's part of it.
For this kid, because it's such an amazing opportunity to play at UConn, finish your career, but it feels like he's trying to make up for only getting 1 year every possession. Do everything.
Yeah, he's trying to do too much out there. I think he's going to be fine long term, but man, he was, of all the guys that they rolled out in the rotation tonight, he was dialed up, almost a little bit too much.
Yeah, I'm trying to, let me bring up his half by half splits. Second half, 9 minutes, 1 for 3. He had 5 of his 8 assists in the second half. 5 assists, no turnover second half. So he played a huge role in UConn kind of pulling their way back in front as well. So I want to give him credit there. But yeah, he just does look sped up. Before we open it up, I do have a bit of news, courtesy of our sponsors at Storage Central. They're doing a post-game Q&A with Tom Moore at the Graduate Hotel, which was, I couldn't believe they were doing that. UConn and Josh Gaddis is there. So reporting, UConn assistant Tom Moore speaking at the Graduate Hotel post-game, says that Terrace Reed has a high ankle sprain, and the team is hoping he returns for Illinois, but is definitely planning for him to be back by Kansas. Do not like the sound of high ankle sprain. Liam McNeely I believe had a high ankle sprain last year.
Brandon Mullins, high ankle sprain. We collect high ankle sprains.
Yes, Dan mentioned.
The Tolland Community College high ankle sprains.
I believe Dan postgame, I believe we are the basketball capital of the world, but we're also becoming the ankle sprain capital of the world and the muscle pull capital of the world. We've got to get this team on the court, all our weapons on the court. So hopefully floats. So on that lighter note, hey, Final Four's in April. It's not in November. So hopefully we get this out of the way now. A lot of injuries across the top teams in the sport. Also Kentucky, who is not one of them. They're a joke. We'll get to them later. They're not a Marquette level joke. Holy fuck. Anyway. Yeah. Should we open up the Wiener Weiner line? I
don't want to. Now I'm mad. I don't want to open up anything. I just want to sit here and pout.
So my ears are still ringing. I was not at the Xavier near comeback in 2023. And for a lot of the game tonight, it wasn't that loud because of the way the game was going. The energy was great at the start. But that last 8 minutes, that was about as loud as I've ever heard that building. I'm not saying it's the loudest because I wasn't at the Xavier game and games in 90. I've been at a lot, though. That was something else tonight to help pull that team in that situation back. And as a situation, it also reminded me a little of the Kansas 98 game where an undermanned UConn team nearly did something really stupid. UConn wasn't as undermanned in this game, but nearly pulled off. Sucks to lose, but I think a lot of positives to take from it. And at the end of the day, it's only November 19th. So UConn's got to heal up and get healthy. That's the biggest takeaway tonight in a home loss. It's not. I don't really think there's a lot of individual things they could fix other than, can we get the good players on the court, please?
Just don't die. Stay healthy, please. My mental health depends on it.
They've played an interesting last 10 minutes of the last 2 games. I'll say that. It's been a.
You never know what it's going to have. It's like the Jack in the Box, Kind of do
we
something
saw
a little nutty, a little weird. Kind of have
we
that
saw the
circus music in the background in the early part of the second half. And then boom, just jumps out. You don't know what you're going to get. It could be good. It could not be good. Tonight was better. They just didn't get it done at the end. A couple shots short. All right. Enough of the yapping. Should we let the wieners whine?
Yeah, especially because I'm parched and I somehow haven't brought my water bottle up here, so I need to get that. So I sound a little less like death, just slightly less like death.
All
but
right.
You'd like to talk about our sponsor, Martin?
I would. Hot dog. The UConn Husky season is here, and the good folks at Martin Roll Souls are here to keep you fueled so you can keep foot on gas throughout the year. Hot dogs, kielbasas, sausages, deli meats, you name it. Not only can you grab what you need for the big game at their retail store at 45 Grove Street in New Britain, they'll even bring the meats to you and ship them across the country. That's Martin Roll Souls, the official sponsor of the Connecticut Basketball Spaces Wiener Weiner line. All right. It's time to get to the meat of the Tonight Show. By that, we mean the Martin Roll Souls Wiener Weiner line. We'll be taking calls and check-ins here for the next hour or so. So if you want to talk, get something off your chest, now is the time.
I also never ended up eating dinner, so hearing you talk about sausage and kielbasa right now is really screwing with me.
Dude, I made like a sausage and pork thing last night, a Cajun, like sausage and pork and rice thing last night. It was so good. I can make some real good Cajun food. I had some of those Louisiana idiots up on my team over the years. Really taught me some amazing things here in the kitchen. Should all be jealous. No escalators. What do you got for us, man?
Good to talk to two guys who don't take moral victories, who sure sound like they're taking one tonight.
For now, I never said I was not a hypocrite.
Same. No, I'm not like upset about anything. I do think, and you stole a point I was going to make about Arizona, that they are uniquely susceptible to this. I think that they obviously are a good and very talented team, but they are going to, be a upset risk in March because they don't shoot it all from three. And it wasn't all threes that got us back in the game today, but once they were down 13, I think over the next 5 minutes, UConn maybe hit 3 threes, which helps a lot when the other team isn't even shooting them. It just gives them a math problem for the comeback. So it was a uniquely bad matchup with Terrace out, but also a uniquely good matchup for this to be better than it might have been against a lot of similar teams that ran not a dinosaur offense.
Yeah, when Arizona ran out the start of the second half the way it did, I thought we were going to a very bad place.
Yeah. And it's just, I think, so it's not like some incredible insight to say teams are better when they're healthy, but I do think that this team is constructed in a way that, since they don't have a guy who is going to just dominate the game, they don't have a Debanza or someone like that on the roster. They really need all of the pieces there, and I think when all of the pieces are there, they will be humming maybe at a level better than anybody else in the sport. But it is sort of precisely tuned to all be together as one unit, and if you take any piece of it away, I think it hurts. Like you said, Solo probably suffers because Mullins isn't out there as another threat. And I think if you take Silas or Terrace away, it in particular will hurt this team because those are the places where there's just not a replacement of the same size and ability. And it's 3 injuries to cause you to miss playing time 3 times in 3 weeks, and they're all the different body parts, is not something that makes me like super happy. Or I'm just, especially hearing it's a high ankle sprain. Like, I guess at least they are different body parts. It's not like he's re-injuring something, but I think high ankle sprain often becomes lingering high ankle sprain. And it's just not, it just makes me, I don't know, nervous is the right word, but it's not what you want to see.
I'm worried. And this is one of those things where it's like, it's 3 different body parts. I do wonder if they've been pushing it a little bit with him. And my worry when guys like kind of come back from injury, I don't know. I mean, if the trainer's going to clear him, the trainer's going to clear him, and Dan's going to play him. But when you kind of come back a little early, it's less me worried about them injuring the thing that they're coming off of, and more that like when you're coming back kind of not at 100%, you start overcompensating in other areas, and that's where you can hurt another thing, right? And it just starts to add up a little bit. So I'm really hoping I have no interest in seeing Terrace Reed play basketball on Sunday whatsoever. Like I really want them to bring him back, like when he's ready. Like ideally, like yeah, I would love to have him back for Illinois. If they feel like they need to, I would be long term even comfortable with them sitting in with Illinois. They got to get him right. He's such like a vital piece of what we're trying to do, and this is the 3rd injury already. We're not even 3 weeks into the season.
Yeah,
It's not good.
yeah. Other than that, so I was only able to watch sort of in fits and starts until the last 7 minutes or so, which I got to watch intently. I was a little curious on the Ryba stuff, knowing, and this is really only informed by what he did in the U18 Worlds this summer, where he was, shooting a fair amount of threes. I was sort of curious on like what he has a green light to do, because he obviously knocked down a couple, and he had some open looks where he hesitated for a long time and then took it, but Arizona was clearly willing to give it to him. If that's a thing he can do routinely, it would obviously be an incredible weapon. But it made me wonder what he has authorization to do, and whether what happened this summer was a little bit more of an aberration. Though I think he had the reputation coming in as a guy who actually could take and hit that shot. So it just seemed a little weird in a few moments.
Yeah, tonight probably wasn't the night that I would want to see him uncorking a lot of threes, but like I don't know when is the right night, right? And his reputation is he's a big that shoots threes. I mean, this is what Dan has wanted for 7 years here, and a big part of what Dan was kind of hyping up. So I mean, I think to a degree he had some green light tonight. I don't think he took a bad 3-point shot tonight. There was even one point he almost kind of had like a. Remember Jaden Ross last year at Georgetown? Like took that, had that corner 3 and then just like short circuited in real time and like glitched out. He had one at the top of the 3-point line and it looked like he wanted to shoot that so bad and just didn't. But look, I think kind of what I like about him and Terrace is kind of more of the, traditional Adama Sanogo back to the basket kind of guy. I don't think we're ever going to see Terrace get much of a green light from 3, like they kind of later on gave to Sanogo. But I think with Ryba, as he kind of moves forward here, I don't see any reason why you don't kind of give him at least a little leash and discretion.
I think I have.
Because it just gives a totally different look, you know what I mean, in terms of what they can do.
So I think I saw it.
One before you jump in. I just want to note, like Koa Pete, who's amazing. The thing on him is he does not leave the paint defensively, like does not. So Eric they weren't dorking.
You're talking about Mo.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
They weren't dorking him, like to use the phrase. They were not going to go guard him. And now what's interesting is after tonight, do some of these elite teams try and guard him out there? And I think in that situation, Eric, who's a great passer, he's not shooting contested threes, I don't think. But that's what you want. You want a team to go out there and guard him so that it opens up some room inside so that Alex and Jalen and Jaden can make something work.
So I think I can provide a little context to No Escalators. So in the first half, he was getting a bunch of opportunities, but they were all like at the top of the key, and he like wasn't taking them. And then in the second half, they kind of made an adjustment where he was getting the ball more like out on the wings, and he was taking those. So I don't know if he just doesn't have the green light from like the top of the key, or if he just doesn't feel super comfortable from there. But they made the adjustment in the second half, and he started to take them and made them too. And like he had I think he should have been taking them the whole game, because like they scored 67 points in 63 possessions. It's like a touch over a point per possession. Like he's probably like a 30%, maybe better, like especially if they're playing 20 feet off of him like they were tonight. So, yeah. I would have liked to see him shoot it more, but they made the adjustment in the second half and it worked.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's all I got. I mean, big picture, I feel great if everybody on the team feels physically great. I think that we're there. We're back to the type of roster we had in 23 and 24, and there's a lot of good teams, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But feel good about it. Unlike our dog shit, no good, horrific, embarrassing conference mates,
Oh my
specifically
God.
Marquette, but also Creighton, who I think won by 15, but
Yep.
late in the game was up single digits on a terrible North Dakota team. It feels like Georgetown or Villanova has to come running, or we are really looking at a too big league. It is a disaster out there.
That Marquette last possession of regulation was boy howdy, that was terrible. Thank you.
What if I told you there was a whole place where you could get players that could help you?
A portal, if you will. He dove out. I was going to tell no escalators. The thing you'll love the most about Eric Ariba shooting threes is he's next to the 3-point line when he does it, which I know is a personal consideration of his. Appreciate his chiming in as always.
Penfield, what you got for us, brother?
Hey guys, obviously it would have been very nice to win that game, but I agree with most of what you guys have said about after that, feeling like this team has the pieces to go far and do some damage this year as long as everyone's healthy. So it's hard to be super disappointed. I think my disappointment mostly comes from the fact of the circumstances of how this all, unfolded with Terrace getting injured right before the big game. So that was just kind of a bummer today not to have him. I think some of the defensive problems that probably we saw may have been due to the fact that key guys were in foul trouble and we just could not afford to have, Demery, Solo, and Caravan off the court for long periods of time. So, I think they couldn't play the way they wanted to. I think they all got some kind of whack foul calls against them, but not to say the refs were bad, necessarily terrible, but we just seemed to our guys were getting bad calls in bad situations.
Yeah, I just it's one of those things where we get a lot of ticky-tack fouls, and I said this before, I just think we're always going to be a team that fouls a lot. I think it's just going to be a Dan Hurley, baked into the cake kind of thing. The problem is it's those sloppy fouls that add up that kill us, and it just gives you less of a margin for error. That foul when Alex came running in on a guy on the baseline on a rebound, reaching in, and he didn't really foul him, but dude, depending on the angle, the referee, they're going to call that as a reach-in foul when you're going in 100 miles an hour on a guy 100 out of 100 times. You can go back and look at a replay, but if I'm an official standing on the baseline watching that play unravel, I'm going to blow the whistle. I'm going to make that foul call. And that's just little sloppy shit that adds them up. There was no reason to get a foul there. I think Styles had another one that was kind of somewhere on the sideline.
I was going to say he was on the sideline. Yeah. I think he got the ball cleanly, but I understand why the referee called a foul on that play. But yeah, that kind of stuff just hurt us tonight. So anyways, I hope the team gets healthy. My Debbie Downer take right now, unfortunately, is that the Reed injury is happening at a very bad time for us, just because we need to rack up these wins against the good teams we're going to play, because we're not going to get those chances once conference play starts.
Yeah.
So the timing of this really sucks. And honestly, the Illinois game might be the best game left on the schedule. So
yeah, I'm not sure what I feel about Florida, and I mean Texas is not Good. It's really going to depend on what's going on with what's his face at Kansas. If he's not there, they are.
Yeah,
They're
Peter.
Well, I
a
mean, even if
clunky mess
we
offensively.
beat them, like
That's a big ask, but yeah, if they beat them, they're fine. That will be a valuable win, whether
I hope
Peter's
so.
in it or not. Yeah,
But like they're losing games now. It's and sure he's going to be back soon, but like it's just not necessarily going to have the same weight as it may have had if he had been playing this whole time. But
yeah, I mean, we were talking about this earlier. Like, I don't know if there's 4 losses for us in conference, and that's like, if you get swept by St. John's, you split with Creighton, and you're just always going to have a banana peel loss every year. Like
at Seton Hall,
at Seton Hall will be the one, right? So
I mean, they could afford to probably play 3 weeks in conference play without Reed.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be that concerned, but it's just the timing of it right now.
I wouldn't be concerned playing in the conference without Reed at all.
Right.
Like to 80 to 90% of the conference, with the exception of St. John's, obviously. Like the conference is caca this year, and that's a good thing. It's also a really bad thing. Like you said, like that's the difference between a 2 and a 1 line.
Yep.
Or a 2
or
and a 3.
2 and a 3.
And so I'm kind of hoping we can snag some, and I think we will. But like I said, if we were able to get come out of this stretch of games here where you're looking at what is it here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, we go 4 and 2, and then I'm feeling like really good about that stretch.
Yeah, after the Florida game, they aren't going to play a ranked team for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dude. After Florida goes, the highest ranked team we play is Texas at 36, until we run into St. John's on February 6th. It's 62, 113, 104, 67, 70, 113, 89, 69, nice. 37, 70, 48, 104. Like,
yeah, that's the other side of it. And the UConn women had this problem. Well, they didn't. They just won every conference game they ever played in the American, where it was the only thing you can do tonight is make your resume worse. And but it's unfortunately the way it's shaken out. So if they get 4 and 2 at this point, and you're going to run into what we really should be looking at is wins above bubble. Thank you, Noah Clairs. It's a very good point. UConn, I know, entering tonight was 8th in wins above bubble. Arizona was 1. UConn is currently 42nd in wins above bubble. Arizona is by far number 1. So that's the problem with it, so to speak. Now, if you catch a couple of these games, you can build that up. And that was what last year, what salvaged the season was that they went and they got the Baylor game. They went and they got the Gonzaga game, even when things were shitty. They had the Texas game, but they didn't have much else. If you look at wins above bubble, which is what the committee uses, like there just are not fucking options here.
Yeah.
So that's why these games are so important. And as Penfield, you said, it's wild to say this. This is the worst time, other than the NCAA tournament, to lose players. It's not the biggest play. It's not. This is the worst time because these are the games that define what, to some degree, what your seed line is. Now, what will help is you'll have teams in real leagues that aren't dog shit take some losses, but those are going to be better losses than. I mean, is UConn going to have to go 16-4? It's not a thing I thought we would be discussing, but here we are.
I don't see how they go worse than 16-4 in the conference. I feel like 16-4 is probably a floor. 5 losses is probably the floor in the conference.
I would be concerned if they lost 5.
I would
games
too.
In conference.
Like I think there's a very good chance that whoever wins the conference has 2 losses.
The Torvik projection is 5 conference losses, but only has them in underdog in 1 conference game. The issue is gonna be if they start like what the losses are, right? And no shit, Sherlock. But yeah,
and I know like St. John's hasn't looked awesome so far, but like I fully expect by the time we get to February they're gonna be fine. I think they'll figure some shit out. But
yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is how are they gonna take more losses? Well, they keep getting fucking hurt. That'll be an issue. So let's stop that. Is my big bold proclamation.
So yeah. Anyways, it wasn't the worst. I like losing by 4 to that team without Reed. Like I don't feel terrible about that, but I just hope he's back soon. So
The high ankle thing, though, like, is it,
Yeah.
Hot Balls, you alluded to it, is it like, is he compensating the hamstring? I don't know, but like, that's my concern.
I was going to say too, when the news started circulating today, I watched some of the BYU game to kind of see, like, did he get hurt?
Yes,
He was
but
definitely that
extremely
play.
hurt, and I got a lot of shit from people
Yeah.
when I said that the other day. By the way,
Yeah.
you all should apologize to me. I was like, he is in trouble, man. Like,
I didn't notice it during the game from my seat at all.
He was not moving well for like really, really, really laboring for like 6 consecutive possessions, and then
it was
kind of gutted it
when
out.
he fell. Right, I thought he fell on his tailbone, and that can hurt a lot. And
yeah, it was with about 5 to go in the game, and it was really
when he
noticeable.
landed his foot, like, I don't know, it's stuck on the floor basically, and it totally So when I watched that today, I'm like, I think he has a high ankle sprain, and then now we know. So
yeah, it sucks. It's
yeah.
I'm going to be positive. Hey, we're about to get Braylon Mullins back, it sounds like. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you, Penfield. Appreciate it.
Later, guys.
All right, going to move over to Handy Durley. You're up next, man. Go ahead. You've been bouncing in and out, and I think you're having some connectivity issues, so I want to get you in here early. Go ahead, man. What you got?
Thanks, Hot Balls. Appreciate it. Just coming in here with a quick question. Do you guys think Dan Hurley is the most intimidating head coach to play for at this point? And do you think that could be part of the problem with some of the guys sometimes look intimidated out there?
What do you mean?
I will say this. Frank Martin is more intimidating to play for. Now, he's at UMass, but that man is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, there's a lot of mean screamer types. I think the thing with Dan is, like, he's just one of those guys that, like, when he's kind of in competition mode, he's away. And then when he's not in competition mode, he's away. And, like, I haven't spoken to a single guy on the team that, like, just doesn't laugh about it. So, like, I don't think, and I'm sure there was a couple guys last year that are not here anymore that did not handle it well. Other than they shouldn't be here anyways. So I'm not too worried about it. I think our practices have turned a little bit too much into tables, ladders, and chairs early in the season. But, look, man, like, there's not going to be a guy that's going to come in and kind of have the perfect balance of, what you need to be doing from practice to culture to offense to whatever. Like, I will take all of the problems that we get with Dan over any other coach's problems in the country right now. And he's a great coach. He's really intense. I think the two negative pieces of that is he's occasionally going to do something totally explosive and insane. And we're going to get a lot of just annoying media coverage. Like, I don't care. I wish Dan was meaner to the officials personally, and to other people in the game. Fuck them. But, like, it's annoying, right? So that's kind of a downer. We foul a lot, and I think that's just baked into the intensity of how we play defense. That's probably a negative, right? And then, our practices are like, hardcore matches from FMW in Japan in like 1992. Probably could be a little less crazy, but Jim Calhoun's practices were pretty fucking nuts too. And
I appreciate that non-niche reference at all. Thank you.
Yeah, I really wanted to get specific to that for my pro wrestling people out there. Know exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Pogo. But you get a lot of those guys that his dad's practices were banana cakes too. So, like, it just is what it is. I'm not too worried about anybody feeling like overwhelmed by Dan. I just don't know. It's funny, like, I just watching him, like, day to day, like, for me personally, I've always responded to coaches like him really well, and I would have a really hard time holding my shit together with him chewing me out in practice. Just look at him. Like, he's so twitchy when he does it too. There's the thing with his hands, and he's like, he's an adorable little time bomb, Like, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. Also, two things. Like, these guys all know what the deal is. It's not like this is a secret. There's been immense media coverage of this man for years. And also, during the games, he's their biggest, like, supporter. It's the practices where it's intense. You think the games are the fucking crazy Dan Hurley? Go see the practices. And he's been very upfront. It was after the it was after the UMass, I think it was ironically after the UMass Lowell game, where he said he's been extremely hard on Silas, like over the top hard, because he's got to get him to a place. And he's kind of like trying to load it all like now. So he's being really hard on him. And Silas was like, yeah, no, totally. I love it. Keep going. And Silas so far has been really responsive to it. And he's been the key guy to come in and see what this is like, because even like the freshman recruits, like they they have a lot longer history with this coaching staff in terms of the recruitment process. Silas is the guy who this has only been a thing for him for about 6 months, and he's playing great. So I don't think that's the issue. I don't think it's intensity.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, I've seen the practices. I've seen the games as well. I just, at some point, and maybe I worded it wrong with like, I think just the culture and the standard can sometimes get into players' heads, like win or everything's wrong, not good effort, not this. And that's the culture and standard we built, which we're very lucky as UConn fans that that's what we hold our players to. And the accountability wise is that. But I totally get what you're saying. Like that comes with Dan Hurley and I love it just as much as the next person. So, the next thing I had to say was, just based on tweets is, a lot of this fan base likes to hold Alex Caravan games, this and that. And eventually, like, I love Alex Caravan, but he's not as physically athletically talented as the rest of the guys out there. He's not the guy that's going to cross someone up and, Euro step into the finish and that. And so, like, we got to take our wins with him and not. So, like, that's my point there.
Well, I mean, he is noticeably like more jacked.
Yeah, I think Alex is probably playing the best basketball of his career the last 3 weeks. I mean, first of all, the difference is this is a top 5 team with a lot of spectacular athletes on it. They're very big and physical, and lots less for them to worry about on the court defensively. And so, like, when you kind of get to where sort of UConn's rotations are right now, you can be like, all right, well, we're not going to be able to take everybody off the board, but like, what's the piece that really will gum their offense up? And Alex, I wouldn't call him an engine in the way that like Cam and Alex quite were, but he's probably the closest thing to it on the team right now. And he's a multi-level scorer with a lot of experience and the guy that this team looks to. I mean, we're going to argue whether that's for better or worse. I don't really care. I think at the end of the day, like, that's just what it is, right? So, if I'm, if I'm Coach Lloyd, like, that's the guy that I'm looking to probably take, off the board as much as possible. And I mean, he's, Dan even says that, I mean, he's basically a security blanket, right? So, I think that allows them to do that. And, when you get to these big games and you have really talented players on defense and they can have a little bit more of pick of the litter in terms of who you can kind of focus in on and fuck with and hold through screens and mug and do all that. That's what you're going to do. Right. So, I'm not too worried about it. Like I would like to see, and I alluded to this earlier, the holding our guys through screens has become a repeated thing that teams are trying to do because you kind of have to. But it gets harder to do when you've got more weapons on the court, and it gets more tiring when you've got to think more and think about more weapons. So, like, when you get Mullins back and you get Reed back in the equation, that's just 2 other pieces that you've got to, like, it's like pick your poison, and it's going to get a lot harder for them to do that. But in the situations where this is happening, I'd like us to, I don't know, show a little bit more toughness getting through those screens or fuck with them back. Like at some point, you kind of got to fight through that adversity. And we don't always do the best job of that, but At the end of the day, like
Did you
I'm not.
did you mention
worried
the
about
adjustment on the block with him? Because I
it.
know that was a point you told me over the phone, and I want to make sure we
Well,
bring it
that
up
was
here.
another thing because the game started to get interesting when they started putting Alex down on the block, and like I think that's something that, especially with Terrace out right now, like I was kind of hoping that they were going to do a little bit earlier in the second half. I think Dan figured it out. I just think he figured it out a little bit later. And when they're holding Alex around the screens like that, and he's not getting the looks from the perimeter or the ability to get the ball at the top of the key and be able to drive the basket, like get him down the fucking blocks, right? So you've got like another piece, especially you know. Especially in the when Kribas, like Mo Kribas, he's just gonna camp the paint. Like, let's get a paint touch to Alex. He can hold his own in the paint down there. Maybe get him a couple buckets, and you're stretching the floor a little bit more with some of the other guys, or getting Alex more into the screening action, particularly when they're running those screens down along the baseline. Like, free that up a little bit. And they started doing that. I don't know, probably like 7-8 minutes left. It started to open up for him a little bit. I just wish they'd gone to it a little bit earlier and recognized that. But I think that might be a potential remedy for that heading forward. But we'll see.
Yeah, Tommy's a great coach, even though he's going to absolutely lose to Montana in the second round in 5
Western
months somehow
Kentucky.
with that
Pick
game.
your Conference USA team.
Delaware.
Nobody's better in November.
Yeah, but he coached a great first half, obviously, and Dan was just slow to make the adjustment a little bit. But I think once it's like the last 10 minutes of that game, if they just had that from the start, they would have been fine. But it just took a while for that all to sink in, and it's a weird situation for Alex. I think they also were throwing doubles at him when he got the ball.
Yep.
In the post, which was a huge, and you're getting doubled by fucking giants. So. Tough night for him in the first half, but credit to him for coming out of it in the second half. It's just, I don't know. I'm staring at the box score, and he took as many field goal attempts as Malachi Smith, and can't happen. It feels impossible.
Can't happen. You cannot only take 5 shots from the field if you're Alex Caravan.
He and Jaden were both 1 for 2 from 3. We've had it's interesting because we've seen this with a few players, and it's what it is. It's hard. You can't make somebody an alpha dog, right? But he's a great college player, but he's not like a lead dog. We learned that last year. And I do think that last year, as much as it stunk to go through as a fan base, I actually think it's helped this team a lot because the worst thing that can happen happened. So now we're all getting now.
The worst thing that could happen did not happen last year. That happened in 2017 and 2018. That would be clear. But yeah,
it is happening to Marquette right
now. Whatever.
Yeah, it is happening to Xavier right now. But yeah, we're all going through the climb again. This is the climb, the chase. And that's the really fun part, even though it sucks when you lose. But they're getting there. And, they're not. I think they're a top 5 team. I think tonight proved it. I think so is Arizona. Arizona should be number 1 in the poll on Monday. They're not going to be because pollsters are weird. But this is part, tonight against one of the few. It's just the fucking meeting of circumstances tonight that had to go wrong and did, and they still almost pulled it off. And I hate losing, but God, they beat 363 teams in the country tonight in that situation. They just played one of the 3 that's better, and I could say that, and I feel fine with it because it's a long season. I think we'll be in Indianapolis. I don't think Arizona will be because they never fucking make it. But if this team can't get through fucking Eastern Washington, Tommy, like what the hell?
All right, thank you, Handy Durley. Gonna move it along here. Cash fraud, you've been patient. Then we're gonna go to Jeff, and then I got a couple other rascals in the that have requested that I'm gonna let in here in a second.
Okay, I'm just gonna go on a quick rant, and you guys can just tug on whatever you want. So that game sucked because I thought we were gonna win by 15 with Reed playing. I was very confident because with Reed playing, that would have been a great matchup for us. And then I learned that Reed was out, and I did not feel great. But then I still talked myself into we were going to win the game. But yeah, watching UConn get out rebounded by 20, not used to that feeling. That sucked. watching them shoot 50% from the free throw line, that also sucked. The refs, they also sucked, but that's sort of become an agenda, I guess. The push-offs every game, the being held every game. Alex Caravan has had one game since his freshman year where he's attempted 5 shots or less, and it was last year against East Texas A&M, so a bye game that they won by 30 points, and that was the most disjointed, ugly basketball game I've ever seen. Like, missing clear travels. I don't know how they overturned that out of bounds off Solo. There was nothing conclusive about that. 2 of the fouls on Caravan were horrible. The one on Silas was bad, and then they don't call the terrible one on Jaden Ross. They don't call the one against Silas late that they've been giving the entire game. They don't call the one where Solo high points a rebound and the dude crashes into both of his arms. Yeah, just I don't know what the answer is for just being held the entire game, but that's not fun to watch either. I think in terms of the game itself, I think forget about Reed, forget about the free throws, forget about the rebounds. I think if you had the Eric Rabbi you had at the end of the game, at the beginning of the game, they win that game. He improved so much throughout the course of the game. His defense in the first 5 minutes was completely unsustainable. He made the change, he made the adjustments, and he was so much better that his defense was actually really good throughout the rest of the game, and especially down the stretch. And Dwayne's defense was good too, but just didn't really have much on the offensive end. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't at least try like a small ball lineup, especially like in like fits and spurts, because obviously you would probably want Krivas out of the game, and I think he sat 11 minutes. But like you're getting killed inside anyway. You're getting killed on the boards anyway. Like at least try to like juice the offense maybe. And I thought especially in the last 13 seconds they would have gone to a small ball lineup and tried to really spread the floor and actually get Krivas out of the paint. Yeah, and then just a couple more thoughts. Like, if your bench is not going to score, do you consider putting Jaden Ross in the starting lineup so you have Jalen, who is probably a more consistent scorer, come off the bench? Like, is that a consideration?
I think they might, simply from what Dan said post-game talking about Jalen with the cardio issue, is that Dan wants him to play like 30 minutes a game, but he physically can't right now. So I'm just glad. I mean, they got a good game out of both guys tonight. It just sucks because they're missing Terrace. So we'll see. And this is the other thing that stinks about having this dog shit conference schedule is like we're going to see stuff like that because they're playing friggin' Marquette and Villanova and DePaul and Seton Hall. And yeah.
Yeah, because you have like enough pieces to score, like with Jaden Ross in the starting lineup. So maybe like, I don't know. It's a possibility. And to Mr. Hotballs' point too, like, I almost am on board that like I would prefer Dan to be like more aggressive in the games, you know?
Yeah, I think part of it tonight.
fine.
I think part of it tonight, you know, that sort of where I thought Tommy did a good job of out one area of the game that I thought Tommy did a really good job of out coaching Dan in tonight was taking his security blankets away. You know, Dan is a guy that like he sticks to his guys, man, and he's going to do whatever he can to try to create shots and opportunities for them in real time, and he'll catch on. He'll sniff you out eventually, and we did tonight. We did, just not in time, right? So, and so I think they're just going to have to. And this is just a problem that went. I mean, if we're being honest, dude, this problem's been going back to 23 because Marquette used to do this against us too, where it's like they're just hanging on our guys. We're wearing them like backpacks, you know, through screens, and it slows us down. It disrupts it. I would be doing it too. They're not going to call it, dude. I mean, I would be full blown koala bear on these guys if I could get away with it. But they're going to have to figure out, I just think, a way to adjust a little bit more quickly, see that, feel that in game that it's not getting called on a given night, and then just adapt to it and have some more escape fouls. But again, I don't want to get, I also don't want to get too carried away with it because, tonight they could give certain guys that were big time offensive weapons a lot more attention than they would have been able to give them otherwise. And I'm not sure, given when this team is healthy, you look at, you're looking at Silas, you're looking at Mullins, you're looking at Alex, you're looking at Solo. Like, that is 4 extreme perimeter threats. And backpacking all 4 of them. I think it's going to gas you out more often than not. But you take a couple guys out and you get some guys that aren't as much of an offensive threat. And then obviously, Rob is a freshman. He certainly has stepped down from where Terrace is at right now. You don't have to pay him as much heat. It just allows you so much more flexibility to do things. But in the event they get in these situations, I'd like to see him be a little bit more adaptable. But to me, that's more of a tweak than it is anything.
Yeah, and like for the aggressiveness part, like I'm not just talking about like the officials, like, and Dan has always been like this, and it's worked great. So I'm not like criticizing it, but I'm just saying, like, if it was me, like, because he puts a ton of trust in his guys, which is why they love to play for him. But like when they got down by 13, like the team, like they had a moment, like a lapse of like a minute and a half of mental weakness where they let themselves look defeated, like they didn't have the answers. And like if that's me, like I would have probably been more aggressive, called the timeout. And I know Dan hates calling timeouts because he trusts his guys, which is good. That's why they like playing for him. But that's another component of the aggression that I was trying to get at.
Yeah, I don't know. I think early in the season I'd be a little bit more liberal with it because they got to figure this shit out. They got to figure out how to hit their own ripcord an occasion, and we're going to have scenarios where you have comebacks that you've got to be able to cut off, like we did the other day. You're going to be in a situation where we're the ones surging. They got to be comfortable being a little bit more uncomfortable. So I'm not as worried about it now. But I think in terms of like making tweaks and certain offensive rotations and in-game strategy, we're a little slow, understandably. But
it was great how they responded. They responded to it great. There was like that one like minute and a half stretch where like you could see like they just didn't. In that moment they just didn't have the confidence. I think that there was like a Malachi jump shot like at the culmination of it where he looked scared to take it. It's like if you're going to take the shot, you have to have confidence in the shot that you're taking.
Well, there's that, and like this team, we talked about this on the original come up, when they were going 21, when we were going from 2020, really from 2019, 2020, 2021, where, you had all of that kind of baggage from the Ollie years, right? When you're losing and shit would start going south on them and they'd all get the same look. UConn women had that look on their face for a little while in the early 2020s too, where it was the same deer in the headlights, like, oh, here we go again. And you kind of just, you gotta play it out of them. You know what I mean? And this team last year, obviously took some huge confidence blows. And I still think a little bit of it's in there, and it peaked its head up. It really did peak its head up from like that 19 to like 15, 14 minute stretch where it really looked like we were getting ready to tap out. And, but they didn't. That's the difference. Like they didn't, got a little too out of hand. It's ultimately what cost them the game, but they were able to come back from it, find that gear, crawl back into it, and have a chance to win at the end of the game. So like, it's still in there a little bit, but I think by the end of the season, I'm not too concerned with it. I think they're going to be through it.
And then last thing, just on the holding, like they just got to start like chopping at those forearms or those wrists or something. Like it's ridiculous. How do you even go about getting that like called consistently?
You send a tape of it to the league office, and then Val Ackerman replies that we have to be nice to the refs.
Yeah. They're all wonderful,
I'm
marvelous human
serious.
beings.
That's what
Yeah.
happens. Like, I'm with you. I just don't. I think Dan also is. Remember, we're making the case for him to be more demonstrative with the refs. Did you enjoy the way last year was covered? I'd like to not do that again. And I think that's what Dan's priority is. But it's a dangerous game to play when your guys are getting held. I don't know. I mean, you need guys to be a little more demonstrative. That's something where, Alex isn't really the yappy guy at the refs, to say the least. But like,
I don't know, because then but like they've also developed now this reputation of being like a physical team, but like when people, if you like actually watch and understand the game, you know that like they're literally getting their jerseys held or hugged the entire game.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough thing to fix. I don't know what the answer is, other than having to make some tactical adjustments. It's what they can control.
Thank you, Cash Fraud.
All right, thank you, Cash Fraud. Got to move along here. I'm going to go to Jeff next, Fitz, and then we're going to go to Boston Hemp Incorporated last. But before we get into the rest of the rabble here, folks, if you want to talk about a Connecticut business, nothing comes close to Martin Roll Souls. Since 1928, Martin Roll Souls has been feeding cranky Huskies fans all over Connecticut and beyond. Hot dogs, sausages, kielbasa's, and deli meats. They have everything we need to keep jerks like Hurley Mania fed, quiet, and if they didn't threaten to pull their sponsorship over it, even a flat place to frankly just leave them. But I promise we wouldn't do that to them. Again, that's Martin Roll Souls at 45 Grove Street in New Britain, the official sponsor of the Connecticut Basketball Spaces Wiener Weiner line. And gonna move it along here to good old Jeff Scapini. I think I got your name right there.
You actually nailed it, Mr. Apple.
Of course I did. I know everything.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And I've never made a mistake. Everything I do is flawless, and I am perfect. I appreciate the compliment, or just stating the fact. So thank you.
Oh, well, also nice ad read there. I can appreciate a good ad read.
Yeah, appreciate that.
I think just generally, I think us as Husky fans, this is just a different, vibe this year after this defeat. We could talk about all the flaws and obviously Reed and Mullins out, but, there are no, solid, losses or anything like that. But I think we could take a lot away from this game. And the biggest thing for me, and there was some discussion on it with Hurley and his, whether he was demonstrative on the floor. But if you watch his interview after and just him on the floor, he was smiling. I take the most out of him and our coaching staff. They give us, they know the most, right? And I think that, after this game, having Hurley, give the props to Arizona as they deserve. They beat us fair and square. But with the injuries, Hurley was giving the indication that he knows that this team has the goods. It was pretty clear. And, after last year, that this team has the pieces. And I think, going back to the Alex Caravan discussion, we all know what he is and we all love him and we want him to be the guy. But I think it's pretty clear, right? And even through the first 4 games of the year, you don't have that down low presence, right? In 23 and 24, we have a dual-headed monster down low, sucking everything in. That's where Alex Caravan thrives, right? He does the putbacks, he cleans up, he hits the threes in the corner, he hits the threes on the kick out. And that's where he was thriving in the BYU game and earlier in the year. And he had a little struggle, but he still always makes himself present, even last year, right, where he had to try and carry. But that was evident with Reed being out. And I think it's easy to say, I think with both Mullins and Reed being out, but I just kind of think as a general statement that this team has it, and I'm really off of Hurley's, kind of just general aura coming out. Like when have we seen him come out of a loss like this being that positive? Like, have we seen him like that before? Right. And he's a nutcase, right? And we love him for it, but we've never seen him kind of come out that positive and, just give this team that confidence and also just the depth of this team. I think we've talked about it, giving Rebay that those minutes, and these guys that aren't going to get the run that when these Reed and Mullins come off. I just think that this is one of those losses where I never like to say it's a good loss or anything like that, but damn, I feel good. There's a lot of positives, and I again with Caravan, I think there's a reason why he was still solid, but he's not at his best. We know why. I just think there's just a lot of things to point to that I just came out of this. I'm like, yeah, okay, it sucks they won in stores, but there's a lot of things we can point to, and I think the rest of the season is going to trend upwards.
Yeah, it's funny how I watched both Dan and Tommy Lloyd's post games, and both of them were so complimentary of one another. I thought they should just get a room, which that happens. Hotballs, did you see the Tommy Lloyd post?
I didn't get a chance to see Tommy. I did see Dan's.
You're gonna love him so much. He starts off talking about the Terrace Reed thing, saying that it's a different game. Like, he fully admits that it's a different game, but he's paraphrasing. I think I'm gonna get close. He said, "But I told my guys, somebody hits a 2-hopper to you, turn the double play." I was like, "God damn it!" That's exactly what.
Yeah, that's about right.
It's yeah. So it's both. They're both really good teams, and hopefully we get to see this again with fully healthy squads in a really big football stadium in Indiana. That would be pretty cool.
I don't know if you guys watched. I just had the highlights on FS1, but in the end of the Illinois game, that's a very winnable game at MSG. I will be there. I'm a New York guy, so I'll be at that game. But that's a very winnable game, even I think without Reed, to be honest with you. But we got a lot of winnable games in front of us. That's not, like you said, that's Tommy Lloyd, I think, did a great job, and what a great, I think, relationship, and hopefully that kind of spawns some more home and homes. There was a lot of talk on Twitter, and I think even on kind of the broadcasts, which was refreshing to hear, about the on-campus environment. You see these games, and even the Champions Classic, they're premier teams, but it's a soulless kind of environment. When we go to MSG, it's a kind of a different story, but when you have these on-campus games, it's really something to see, and hopefully that starts kind of more of that, and we can get some of these other teams, hopefully Duke, get those frauds and to actually sign up and get a home and home with them.
I think they're going to figure that out. It's not informed. Well, it's slightly informed. It's just they're going to have to. There are a couple of things that were in line ahead of, including they did a home and home with Arizona first. I think that'll get sorted out. It's been really cool to watch around the sport that all of the top end teams are fucking on the same page about doing this. Now, what was great about tonight, much as it sucks, was it was fucking on campus, if you can believe it. What a shock. And that's what's great about the Kansas series. And I think that, it was great that Alabama played Illinois tonight. Alabama actually won the game, by the way. As great as Illinois looked early, apparently, in that one. Really impressive for Alabama, and very important for St. John's profile that they did not get run off the court at the United Center, which it looked like they were going to, but that's the other thing. It was at the United Center. It would be nice to see more of these. Now we're getting the games. Step 1. Step 2, can we play them in the actual fucking gyms, please? But there's NIL considerations, and it's just great. And Dan said this week he wants to step up to doing 7 or 8 of these a year, which sounds insane until you look at Arizona's schedule, look at Kansas' current schedule is completely insane. I believe they play like 8 straight major conference opponents, non-conference. So it sounded crazy to me until I started looking at teams, and there are some teams currently doing it, which is completely wild. And it's great for the fans, but expensive. But that's what I want to see going forward. More of stuff like tonight, except for the outcome.
Yeah, I don't mind the occasional neutral game, but the home and home stuff, like, there's just no downside to it. But I also do think we're starting, knock on wood, I think we are starting to get out of the era of the chicken shit head coach when it comes to doing these things.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of this generation of coach seem very, very much down for this shit. Dan, I have always given credit to Arizona, Tommy Lloyd, anyway. They're always down.
Yeah, full respect. They've always been down. Lute Olson was down. Tommy Lloyd was down for it.
Yeah.
John Shire, I don't want to give Duke credit, but has been at least more down than Mike Krzyzewski was.
Yes.
A little different to go to do some road games in like Arizona than it is, say, West Point. So that, I think, has been a positive thing, but I think a lot of these younger coaches, I think you just have to have those tune-up bye games. Like, I kind of like the balance that we had, kind of getting, play 2, Power 4, play kind of a middling, low-end Power 4 team in an exhibition, play a top 25 to 30 team in an exhibition, get your 3 bye games, tune it up, and then just start pounding nails, man. And then sort of stagger maybe 2 more in there, which they've done with Bryant and I think East Texas A&M, kind of get some shit right and tweak and make some adjustments. And you kind of take these big games 2 at a time. So at 1-1, they're going to be able to kind of make some adjustments against Bryant. Then we're going to Illinois and Kansas. They're going to be able to cycle back, play Texas A&M, make some tweaks and adjustments. Then you're going to finish up with Florida and Texas, right? So I kind of like the cadence of that schedule very much.
Do you think that with this kind of, obviously we've had the Kansas game now scheduled, and we had a couple of years ago, but that, kind of the Dukes of the world, the UNCs, like, they're going to kind of, as it pertains to UConn specifically, right? We always talk about like they're ducking us, and do you think that actually gets done? Because Arizona, like you said, I mean, in all respect to Tommy Lloyd, and again his post game, I think, interview was fantastic, and would love to play them again. Great series to keep going, but as UConn fans, we love to have Duke on that schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's starting to become more of a thing because it's a necessity, particularly for North Carolina and Duke. Perhaps even Louisville, you could probably throw into the mix there, because the ACC sucks donkey balls at college basketball.
In the Big East,
and you're going to kind of have to. So does the Big East, and like, you've got to get out and you've got to pad your schedule. I mean, if you're in the Big 12, yeah, man. I mean, you're Houston or you're Kansas, like, you're going to walk into a conference. I mean, Kansas has a stretch. I was just looking at their schedule because it's fucking bonkers. They have a stretch where they play 17, 16, 109, then 5, 6, 53, 41, 3, 5. Their February is a joke, and it's very difficult. Now, I'd want to be a little careful. We've seen a lot of the Big 12 teams really wear down, by Houston, most notably. But when you kind of go to look at some of those leagues, man, like, they're going to have plenty of opportunities to put resume wins together. You get into the Big East right now, which is a flaming bag of smashed assholes. And then you get into the ACC, which is a similar construction. Your Duke, your UNC, your Louisville, your UConn, maybe a St. John's. Like, yeah, dude, you're going to have to go out of conference to find those, major resume wins. So, It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, look, there's some things that we've been told are in the works. We'll see what that's all going to come into, if any of that's going to come into fruition. But I think this is going to be the norm, really, heading forward, especially for UConn, kind of out of necessity. I think there's some NIL revenue generating purposes in there too. We have to make some decisions that some other teams don't. But I'm not going to be surprised to see us getting some
Dan said they
marquee
want to do
home and
something.
homes.
Dan said they want to do something apparently in Vegas, which kill me, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, no one wants that. But it's.
I would also like to see the return of getting some of these non-conference games in like February to kind of break up, especially in this fucking league, the monotony.
Oh,
Yeah.
But that's a little harder to do with TV schedules. Hopalls, I unfortunately for you and Jeff, I have to interrupt because I have been made aware, it's kind of relating to the subject, of Shaka Smart's post-game quotes in the wake of Marquette's 77 to 70 overtime loss to Dayton at home tonight.
Yes. Please make us aware.
These quotes are going to give you a fucking stroke. And this is courtesy of Matthew Baltz of MU Wire Sports. Regarding the portal, Shaka Smart, and I quote, "Absolutely, we could have gone and recruited someone that was older, may have had more experience, and absolutely, it's really easy to practice resulting right now. But honestly, when the ball is up in the air and we're playing basketball, that's not really what's winning or losing anyone games. It's about how connected are you as a team. Again, I have to help our guys play with more approach goals and more flow together. We certainly have a group of guys that can win a game like tonight, whether we went in the transfer portal or not. I've been doing this a long time. Criticism comes with the territory. But again, I think if you look at the way that our process has gone in the time we've been here, I guess you can criticize us now, but I think it's been pretty good." End quote. That's fucking insane.
None of that, honestly, that is all gobbledygook.
That is
I don't know what any of that fucking means whatsoever. We've got to play with more flow and connectivity when the ball is, and like that is just fucking.
He's lost the plot.
Nonsense.
That's really not what's winning or losing anyone games. Yes, it fucking is.
You need to have good players. You fucking fuckhead. Like, go out and get good players. Nobody's asking it to turn your Marquette into a JUCO. They do not need to be Iowa Western Community College or West Hills Coalinga here. Like, just if you need a center, like, go get a center. And I'm sure he's going to love hanging out with all your guys and be down with the culture that you have. Like, you're not getting an extension. You're not selling tickets. You're not getting your fan base excited and getting guys in the league if you don't have enough talent to compete with. I don't even fucking know anymore.
It's unbelievable that most of the league does not see what Hurley has done and the blueprint that UConn has laid out for everyone in college basketball. And you look at Kentucky with $22 million of a roster that you don't need to go out and be all NIL. You can plug the holes and you don't need to be upset, just do what you need to do to plug the holes. But it's I'm not going to say simple, obviously it's very complicated at this point, but that's like, what are you doing?
Oh my God. The quotes are insane. He was going at it with the Milwaukee media. This is insane. Smart on not going to, also courtesy of Matthew Baltz. Smart on not going to the portal. Quote, "We've had a lot of success around here. The way we've gone about things is not new. What is a little bit different right now is we've had in the past couple of years 6 guys exit our program that before you could even talk about them as basketball, I forget the players, who they were in terms of teammates and leaders and culture builders, we're responding to that. We're having to react and grow from that." End quote. Get other fucking players, Shaka. Like, what the fuck? Honest to God, he used the phrase. I have to get the other one. Growth mindset.
Are we really going to growth mindset? Is a college basketball
really
player turning into a consultant at Deloitte and Touche?
He said, yes, absolutely. It's really easy to practice resulting right now. What the fuck is that? What in the name of Pete Buttigieg is that shit? Are you kidding me? What fucking McKinsey did you run that shit? I've worked with McKinsey shit. That's what it sounds like. You know what that
We're
doesn't
just not
do?
hitting
Win
our
basketball games.
KPIs culturally in the way and
We're
manner that
not.
we were hoping that we would early here in the season.
Again, I have to help our guys play with more approach goals and more flow together. What approach goals?
I don't know what a fucking approach goal is. Here's a goal. There's a
You
little
don't
goal,
have
it's a
any
little orange hoop,
forwards
and you
who
put
are
the other
good.
round orange thing and the other kind of round orange thing, and you score points. The thing that is just so crazy to me about this is like just sort of how indignant he is when he's probably the guy. I'm not even joking. There's a case. There's a legit case. A really legit case. That Shaka in 23 stumbled into the formula that works by recruiting Tyler Kolek in the transfer portal, an undervalued, under-recruited player from George Mason University, to come complement some of the recruits that he had brought in via the transfer portal and players that he had there culturally, and then stopped. Like, I think in retrospect, like, we could be like, oh yeah, Dan has found the formula. But did he? And because there was a lot of turnover between 22 and 23, a fair amount. And there's a lot of question marks coming into that season. Like, I do not want to like rewrite history here. But like, I just don't get it when the money is there and the brand is there and the track record of being successful doing it is there. And not only the track record of doing it successfully, but doing it successfully by doing it by getting transfers that are the hardest transfers to integrate into a team, which is a point guard. And like, why we're doing this now is insane. Like, he's not getting an extension. I don't understand the point of all of this. This is like a religious sacrifice. You know what I mean? This is insanity to me. This is like, you know, the Japanese kamikaze charges of World War II. Just like a senseless, needless waste.
We've also been far too kind to him because he also, when he got Tyler Kolek, he also got Omax Prosper from Clemson. Maybe the second best player on some of those teams. He did the thing. And now he doesn't want to do the thing. And this is why it's an issue, they look dog shit.
They're bad.
They're bad. They're 90th.
They're bad, sir.
They're 90th in offensive efficiency.
Is Shaka's interview worse or Pope crying after fifth game to the Kentucky fan base?
I will happily get into that here in a little bit.
Would you like to?
Happily get into that here in a little bit. But before we do that, a word from our sponsors. Hot Dog, the UConn Huskies season is here, and the good folks at Martin Roll Souls are here to keep you fueled so you can keep foot on gas throughout the year. Hot dogs, kielbasas, sausages, deli meats, and more. You name it, not only can you grab what you need for the big game at their retail store at 45 Grove Street in New Britain, they'll even bring the meats to you, ship them across the country. That's Martin Roll Souls, the official sponsor of the Connecticut Basketball Spaces Wiener Weiner line. Jeff, I'm going to kind of move you out and move on to the next one, but I will get into a
all good. Thank you, boys.
Thank you. I have one more quote before we move on.
You hate Shaka so much.
We believe in a growth mindset, which says I
growth
get
mindset.
Grow from any experience. 99% of people out there believe in a fixed mindset, which says that the last experience defines who I am. It's not going to change, including most of the media. That's fine. It's not going to change the media's mind because they think you sound fucking great.
It sounds like somebody's overdosing on Instagram Reels late at night. You think Shaka's red pilling it?
The best thing is not the best. Like the Marquette fans they all see it now and they're all losing their minds. And I don't blame them.
Is Shaka ODing on David Goggins videos late at night? Growth mindset.
You imagine being Shaheen Holloway with $12 watching this motherfucker that's got millions behind the program just refusing to go after transfers?
Shaheen Holloway is putting a sort of respectable basketball team together, taping bottle caps together and offering and luring guys into a practice facility that everybody's had for 35 years and kind of making do. And this guy, I can't believe it. I can't believe the administration there is like, but I don't know. Who knows what extension. Did they extend Smart, by the way?
I think they did.
Did he get a big, fat, juicy extension? That could be it.
Wouldn't you? The guy doesn't want you to have to spend any money on transfers. It's great. I'd extend him. And he wins, kind of.
Shaka got an extension in 2023 that takes him through the 29-30 season.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jake. All right, I'm going to keep it moving here. We'll get to Mark Pope in a little bit. Fitz, you've been very patient tonight. Then we're going to go to Boston, and then we'll have Jake come in as the caboose. Fitz, what do you got for us, man?
Yeah, it was touched on a little bit, but I was just curious your guys' thoughts on the small ball lineup, because I think clearly it wasn't going to get any worse in terms of how we were getting pounded on the glass and in the paint. And I just think it makes it that much harder for the defense to be as aggressive and over the top with us on the outside if we have a lineup out there where they can't have a guy with 2 feet in the paint at all times.
Could it have gotten worse with a small ball lineup? I don't know.
They would have been so overwhelmed physically at every position. I thought about it, but I just think it would have. They wouldn't be able to run anything. I mean, they didn't really, for a large part of the game, they didn't really run anything anyway. I don't think they could give it. They couldn't have given it completely away. It was already like they were hanging in the game somewhat. Like they weren't down 35 when they were getting out rebounded by 20. So you want to get out rebounded by 40? I don't know.
Yeah, I just would like to see something of maybe even just like you mentioned before, one fast break point between two teams, push the pace something when clearly the slow methodical wasn't going to work. But agree with you guys that obviously this is a temporary situation with the injuries and believe in the long-term future of the team. But
yeah, I think that's what kind of makes a game like this annoying. Not only to watch and sit through, but like to try to break down and process because, the whole night, I can't even tell you how many times I actually started to take some notes on it and then I just stopped. So I was frustrating myself where I was like, yep, that's Terrace thing. Oh, Terrace. Oh, Terrace. Like all these little moments all night, whether it was on the offensive side, the defensive side, that I was like, man, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not happening. This wouldn't have happened. This is fiction. Like, this is nonsense. I felt like I was doing that all night long. And it's because Terrace wasn't there. Just changes everything, So, like, a lot of the things that you're going to see, I think anytime you lose, you sort of, like, start to get a little overly under the microscope with a lot of things when, you just really can't read into a lot of things. Like, tonight, they were just down 2 starters. Particularly one of them would have drastically changed the way and manner in which the game was played. And that was really at the end of the day, and they still had a chance to win it. And if they had hit a couple more free throws, they would have. It's really, and we're talking in a completely, all of us are having a completely different conversation about what this all looked like tonight. So, and I think coming out of a loss, still, I'm pretty positive about it. I don't feel good after a loss. I'm going to be annoyed by this all year. These losses always live in my ass. But that's really all this is. It's a nuisance. And I think, heading forward, they're going to be fine. The one thing I am a teeny bit concerned with, I guess if I was going to I want to be concerned. Somebody kind of made the German sports car analogy. I wonder if we're a little bit too much of an Audi this year, where basic things like changing the battery are a $700 fix in those cars. And when it's running together, nothing looks better than a German sports car. But you get a slight oil spill and the whole thing blows up. I got a little bit of concern about that, but not a lot. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, they just, I mean, look, if they can't get guys healthy, they're screwed anyway. So like it sucks because like it's the thing part of I think Dan's positive nature after the game becomes like last year it was really clear really fast this wasn't fixable, right? This is all fixable. He's had the point of view that the issues are fixable. Now it's a health issue. And that should be fixable, but if it isn't, well, Dan's not a doctor, so he can't really do anything about it. It's just up to the medical team and the players. So you have to hope that they get better and that they're going to be back. The Terrace will hopefully be back for Illinois. They're going to get Mullins back, and you avoid, obviously, this shit happening again with someone else. The Terrace thing, I just want him to be really, really careful because I don't want this to be he's overcompensating for one injury and it leads to another. We see it all the time. Just if he can't go against Illinois, he can't go against Illinois. I think they're going to get a ton of grace nationally. I mean, they seem to have tonight from looking at the coverage. It seems like a general appreciation of how good both those teams were and the fight that UConn showed, missing two key players. I've been impressed how many national people have pointed out the Mullins thing, given that he hasn't played yet. That's been a pleasant surprise. Usually that's not a thing UConn freshmen get, but I think it's a testament to the size of where the program is now that they're getting that kind of generous look.
I'm not worried. I'm never worried. All right, Fitz, thank you very much. Got to move along here and keep this thing rolling. Boston Hemp, man, what do you got for us?
Great job as always, guys. It's been a heck of a 5 days between the BYU game, up in Boston, and then this Arizona game. Couple of barn burners. One goes, the Huskies' way. The other one, unfortunately, doesn't. But like you guys have kind of said, when you're undermanned, the margins just mean a little bit more, especially against a team as good as Arizona, whose strengths are down low, and then you minus Terrace from the equation. That leads to a minus 20 on the boards. Got croaked on the offensive glass, the second chance points in the paint. Obviously, the free throws. We didn't have our best shooters out there, but you'd like to think we can shoot a little bit better than 50%. Stewie and Ross, are showing signs. They can just keep that up. We'll be in good shape. The one thing I really wanted to touch on, and I'm not sure if anyone else has, is Solo. I'm not sure if it started some point last year. When he's going to his shot, he's really not looking to shoot. By the way it looks, he's looking for the foul, seems like a little more. And I think he's not really focusing too much on making the shot as opposed to getting the foul. And I'm not sure if that's somewhere in his head. For him to shoot, in the mid-20s, that's just not, he's too good of a shooter. He did a good job getting into the paint, a couple good pull-ups. But it just seems like an easy fix to just have him go up and shoot the ball. He's kicking his leg out, and he didn't get called tonight, but a couple of them he definitely could have. So I want to know if there's something there that you guys saw that, seems like could be an easy fix to try to get, his percentage back up a little bit.
He's absolutely foul hunting, and the refs all see it. And I hate it because
he did it twice tonight where he blatantly kicked a leg out trying to get fouled.
Just stick to the form and make the three. Like, I wonder if the shooting slumps in his head now where we're trying to draw free throws on a three as a top 3 by the metrics returning 3-point shooter in the country. Like, I don't want 4-point plays. Let's get the 3 first, and then we'll worry about that.
Yeah, and I think what he did earlier in the game might have impacted that 3. Maybe not the best shot in the situation with under 2 minutes left, but I think if a ref sees you do that, the boy who cried wolf, you're not going to end up getting the call.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be, his form's got to be off or something because of it. It seems that way. They have incredible technology in the Worth Center for 3-point shooting to track guys' shots, so it's nothing they won't be able to iron out, but they've got to fix it. He's shooting 27% from 3. It can't happen, obviously. Yeah, they've got to get it fixed. They have to get that fixed because they cannot go where they want to go with Solo not being a 35 to 40% 3-point shooter and have nights where he goes completely nuclear like he did against Marquette last year.
Yeah, it's just my fear, I feel like, like I said, was talking before, it's like you get prospect chasing a little bit and you get ceiling chasing with guys when, the usual result can not be great, right? Like I was given the pitching analogy where you get a guy, racks that pitch count up into the hundreds in the fourth inning. Well, now I got to use two more guys in the bullpen. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, it's not a huge issue within the context of that game or two, but when you start adding it up, over the course of a long season, those innings add up, right? And like, if Solo is not going to be a guy that is going to be scoring and shooting from the perimeter at a high clip, where's the major contribution coming on the rest of the floor right now? Right. So, I mean, again, this is like the darkest case scenario here, but like, he's been in and out before. Again, I said earlier in the show, I don't think anybody's got a fifth gear the way that Solo Ball's got the fifth gear. But I don't want to get caught chasing it for a spectacularly long time. It worries me. So, we're just going to have to see, but they have to get him back online. I think Mullins is going to help Solo tremendously, his presence on the perimeter. So again, same kind of similar thing with Alex. Like I think it's a little premature to start judging that, but I'd be absolutely talking out of my butt if I said it wasn't starting to creep into my brain.
Yeah, it's already 5 games in, and I wasn't very good from 3 in the exhibitions either, including one against what looks like now a top 20 team. So, yeah, it's gotta get fixed. Period. Or this, that's almost more concerning to me than the injuries, because injuries, like, they know how to fix that. How do you fix Solo? I don't know. It's not great analysis, but it's shooters got to shoot through slumps. We went through this last year with Alex, and truth be told, he never really came out of it. I'll have to check the analytics. I don't think Solo's one of the guys on the team taking the NBA threes. It's a lot of corner looks that just aren't going down, and that's weird to me. I don't know how that happened.
I haven't looked at his shot chart, but it feels like he's missing them open from everywhere.
A lot of open shots for sure. I know in the BYU game and tonight. But like you guys mentioned earlier, Cam Spencer had a slow start. Seems like an easy fix. I just think he's thinking too much, on that jump shot, kicking the leg out, leaning his body one way, just eyes on the hoop, shoot it. You're a great shooter, 40%. Just let it fire. Just clear his mind and just let him go.
Yeah, I mean, so far, 3 for 10 against New Haven. Only took 2 against UMass Lowell. 3 for 9 against Columbia. 1 for 5 against BYU. 1 for 8 tonight. 9-34 on the season.
And I would like to think a lot of them are, how they're judged as being open or the wide open shots, which normally that's his sweet spot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Boston Hemp. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
No problem. Just trying to move through because we haven't even laughed at Kentucky yet.
No.
You want to do that?
You want to laugh at Kentucky? We'll laugh at Kentucky, and then we'll laugh at Jake Fenner, and then we'll laugh at Mike Warner.
He looks like a guy who's realizing how impossible that job is in some ways when it's bad. It's when Kentucky's bad, it's the worst job to have in the country. And it was great. He did a great job last year, and it was great. You get to appeal to the memories and his career, and he re-energized the fan base a lot. He actually had a relationship with KSR, which is a huge deal down there. But now, when it gets leaked that you have a $22 million roster and you don't push back on it, and they don't look like a fucking $2 million roster, and the defensive efforts last night were gone.
The quitting on plays on that team, I would be shitting my pants as a head coach. It's effort. Capital E effort. Like non-existent defensive basketball with them.
He implied that something happened during halftime of one of the either Nicholls State or Valparaiso game, but he wouldn't give the details. Like, it sounded like there was a fight in the locker room. I mean, that roster's nuclear right now.
Yeah, I mean that is one of the first of all, the national media giving him a pat on the back and being like, "It'll be okay. He's a good man." For like having a mental breakdown after the basketball game. If it took Dan Hurley 45 minutes to get to a press conference post game,
Oh, murder.
it would be a
What he's
fucking massacre in the headlines.
He's
Dan
unhinged.
Hurley's a cry, like it, but it's Mark Pope. So Seth Davis made me want to throw up in a lunchbox last night. It was brutal watching him fucking just sling water everywhere that he could for the guy. But that aside, like, first things first. If you're paying $22 million for a college basketball roster in 2025, everybody in your program has brain damage. Everybody. That is like twice the going rate of what other teams aren't advertising, but has like kind of leaked. And it's a spectacular waste of money. And like, it's the old saying, man, satin sheets. It's hard to get up and fight when you sleep in satin sheets. Was it Marvin Hagler used to say that? You know, so like, I don't like that. They look like the epitome of mercenary basketball. There's some extremely athletic pieces on that team. There looks like there's 6 guys minimum that are just killing some months before they get to the draft. And I don't know, man. The thing that's probably the scariest is him talking about like how sort of disrespectful they are about like the Kentucky thing. Because that there means a lot. And that's what could take that situation from being bad to like unbelievable and completely unmanageable in like weeks. Because when it goes bad in Kentucky, it goes bad at a rate that's about 100 times faster than everywhere else. And it gets so suffocating that it impacts other fan bases. You are going to totally get sick of hearing about this in about a month if it gets worse.
So Norlander for CBS had a behind the scenes. He was with Kentucky yesterday during like the walkthrough and stuff, as well as the Champions Classic. So I'm gonna quote from his piece. On the 25th floor of the team hotel Tuesday morning, Kentucky players went through their customary day of film session. At the end of the 10-minute scouting report through Michigan State's roster, a brief hype video played. The words "Fight Night at the Garden" accompanied Kentucky basketball highlights, interspersed with boxing prize fights of yore at Madison Square Garden. Kentucky's coaching staff knew Michigan State was going to arrive looking for a brawl. Associate coach Mark Fox had the scout and offered succinct advice. Pack your switchblades, Fox told the team. It's going to be a street fight. Nobody checked the cargo on the way to the bus. Kentucky forgot their weapons and showed up with lemons to a knife fight. So like they tried to gin them up for what Michigan State was going to do. And Kentucky's collective response was, you know. And that's kind of, it ties into UConn because tonight, that's a Kentucky team that's missing Quaidance and they've got injury issues. But look at the way they rolled over last night versus the way this UConn team fought tonight. I know who I want back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, $22 million. Can you imagine how pissed the donors are going to be? Oh my God. $22 million on that.
It's just not close. Like you said, that
can't be the actual number.
Most.
But if it is, shame on them.
Most is probably North Carolina.
Like there's teams that do this every year. Yeah. Kansas State's done it for the last 2 years. Texas did it a couple years ago. They go and they just don't stop bidding against themselves. Like there's no need to do that to yourself. It's just a sloppy, stupid way to go at things. It's never worked. Since the transfer portal became a thing, just being like, 30 million. Like, oh, God, dude. But I'll tell you, man, what I think is going to make this situation at Kentucky a little bit more interesting is like Kentucky really hasn't been Kentucky since when? Like 2016?
2015. 2015 is the answer.
2015 when they were Kentucky, but like a solid 1-2 seed. Well, they were 2 seed in the St. Peter's year, but like that was a joke too. They shouldn't have been. But like 2016 was that last like actually looking at their Ken Palm right now, only in 2016.
17, they had a pretty good roster with like De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk.
Yeah, then 16. Yeah, I mean they've always had a good talent. Yeah, they were 4th in Ken Palm and stuff. So 17, we're like inching up on like 8-9 years of them being kind of mostly Gaga.
Yeah,
We got
the
a
other
Sweet
side of it is
16s. I think they were an Elite 8 team in 17. They
They were an
have
Elite Eight
not
team
been
in
to
19.
they have not been to a second weekend, I don't believe.
last year.
Did they get there last year?
They
Oh,
went
they
to the
did.
Sweet
They did
16
last year. Yeah. So one second year though, and second weekend in 6 years is that's dicey. At
And
Kentucky.
the SEC is drastically better at basketball now, so it makes it harder.
Yeah.
Everybody in the South is getting basketball players now. Everybody's paying attention. Everybody cares.
Well, it's easier to cheat. All the cheating's above board. It's not cheating anymore.
Well, we're bringing it back now because they're only going to spend $20.5 million on NIL next year, of course.
On God knows what.
Across all their sports. And of course, most of it will go to football. So I'm sure Kentucky's NIL for men's basketball will be at most $3 million. Surely.
Like,
Fenner,
why would you like just the idea that you're like, that's the other thing that just kind of like blows my mind. Like fans shouldn't care, I guess. You should just want your owners, and I mean, you say this all the time, right? You should just spend money like a drunken sailor, but like, just be as good as you can be and help yourself out. But like, you can't fucking do that. Like, why would you tell everybody that you've got that big of a bag?
Yeah.
Why? You're bidding against yourself.
This is the Kansas State thing. Why do you think PJ Haggerty went to Kansas State? Because PJ Haggerty knows that the last 3 years that fucking Jerome Tang is just shooting the money cannon out.
He'll pay anybody to go there. Fucking pay Coleman Hawkins.
That was so good.
Almost as much as our entire roster to play there. Like, the fuck did these guys get hit in the brains with a hammer? Like, what is going on? And what are you watching? But, like, the other piece of that is, like, the thing that pisses me off about it is, like, bidding against yourself. Maybe it's because I'm a GM, and I just hate that shit, and it just gets under my ass. It's, like, so obviously a stupid thing to do. Like, I'm not saying the guy's not worth $25 million, but why would you pay $25 if you can get him for $15? Then you give that other $10 to another guy that could really help you and you would be better. So I don't know, man. It's the story of the portal, right? I think it's just such a fascinating case study in like the balance of all this and these coaches like trying to navigate their way through all this and just being like an overwhelming booster bro is just not enough. Like you have to be able to retain guys. You have to be able to evaluate guys. Like the GM in college basketball, I think is going to be an increasingly important position to be able to like really evaluate guys thoroughly over the course of the year of what's going on in the nation around you, not just the guys that you're running a scout on that you're on your schedule or that are coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Like you're going to have somebody on staff because, oh my goodness.
Unless you're Shaka Smart. Jake, good evening. You were at Gamble tonight. You asked Dan 2 questions post-game, which was extremely greedy, but I appreciated it. What were your thoughts?
Before I get into that, just to wrap up Kentucky.
What now, Jake?
Did you hear Mark Pope in the post game? I know that Hurley Mania is a fan of the CBS Ion College Basketball podcast.
He was a very sad man, Mark Pope.
I believe you listened to it live, but they dropped in the the press conference audio to their upload to Spotify. And Mark Pope, hold on, I found it. You have to listen to this. So I'm just going to play this.
It's not. I think your identity as a team is completely separate from any individual player. I actually think that's a. I'm gonna temper my words right now. I actually think that our identity should be. If you build an organization the right way, then your identity is not about an individual person. Your identity is about a collective group. And so it shouldn't matter if we had built a great organization and a great culture, which I've clearly failed to do up until today. But we won't fail this season. We just have failed up till today.
So that's about like 7 seconds of dead silence that he gives before then ethering his guys saying that they're way too self-centered.
Yeah. I mean, they
Welcome
gave
to
him
Kentucky
22 million
basketball, I
reasons to tell
guess.
him why they think they should be really important, and he's not. That whole team has 22 million reasons to think that they're more important than anything the coach has got going on.
It's a team
When the
full
God
of
bless
coach,
them. Get paid while
when
you
the
can.
coach,
I am never going to besmirch a college athlete from getting paid handsomely, given the disgusting, shameless landscape of college athletics. But that's what you get.
it's a team full of thems.
Me, myself.
Entire team full of thems. So just my only 2 quick thoughts. I was watching Eric Ryba in the shoot around, and he missed like 4 straight 3-pointers, and I was like, okay, he's not going to do that in game. And then he did it in game, which was fun and very enjoyable to watch. Big man going 2 from 5, very entertaining. Everybody said the whole thing about Alex, but I think the person that I was weirded out by the most tonight was Malachi. I know that Hot Balls mentioned a lot earlier about his motor. I got the feeling, both this game and in the BYU game, that his motor often leads him to unnecessarily extending plays. Like, there were a couple of times where I would see him, it felt like he held on to the ball for a while, like just a bit too long. There was one play where he held on to the ball for a bit. He drove the baseline and then kicked it to Stewie for a triple. I forget if it was one that he hit or if he missed, but it was like he got to the top of the key with like 25 seconds left on the clock, and by the time he kicked it to Stewie, there was like under 5 seconds left on the shot clock. And I get that he's not the starting guard, and 8 assists is a thumbs up. You cannot take that long to make a decision, or you cannot take up that much of the shot clock with the ball in your hands and only make one pass. That's not, like, that's got to be something that's got to get worked on. And then my only other thing was that I think Arizona just flat out had like the 2 best players on the floor for the night. Like, I think you could kind of just look at it as that. Like, they had the 2 best players on the floor for the evening. Koa Pete is going to be a very good NBA player, I think. I think he's going to have a very solid NBA career. I don't know where he's going to fit. Like, he's built like a truck, cuz so his father was a former NFL offensive lineman. His mom used to play college sports. He's one of 7 siblings, and every single one of those kids played at least collegiate sports. And one of his older brothers is a starting offensive lineman for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So just built like a brick house. Like, he looks bigger than 6'8", but he's 6'8" on paper. Which kind of makes him a bit weird. He's like a little too like built out to be a small forward, but he's a little too short to be a power forward. So I'm interested to see how that'll look in the NBA. But tonight, Koa Pete and Jaden Bradley, 13 of 27 from the field, 10 of 13 from the line, 1 of 2 from 3, and that was Bradley. Everyone else on Arizona went 12 for 27, so same amount of shots, 1 less make. 9 of 12 from the line, and 5 of those makes and 6 of those attempts were from Awaka, 1 for 8 from 3. So I think it's just simply that they had 2 guys who they schemed really well for, and plucking rebounds was the biggest thing. I'll give Dan credit. I'll give the staff credit. I know people were kind of like poo-pooing the idea of the floaters. I thought that was actually a pretty decent way of approaching the fact that you were vastly undersized. It didn't work out. There were a number of shots that hit the rim and could have gone in throughout the night from beginning to Eric Smith at the end. I think that could be the story of the evening. I think if Terrace is in, obviously it's a very different game, but doesn't seem like a loss that's going to harm them. The only thing is free throws. Only thing is free throws. So the second question I ended up asking Dan. They were 85% from the line against New Haven, 77% from the line against UMass Lowell. Both Columbia and BYU, they were like 66%, and then tonight they were 50. I think Dan in the presser simply said that the people that are like their best shooters weren't getting to the line, which is pretty accurate, I would say. Silas didn't have a single free throw tonight. Stewie didn't have a single free throw tonight. Malachi, J. Ross didn't have a single free throw tonight. And then Alex went 3 for 5 and Solo went 3 for 3. In the meantime, Karoma shot one of the worst free throw shots I think I have ever seen in person.
Yeah.
That second one I think that he shot. And then Eric went 1 for 4 because he's like 7 feet tall. So I agree with that assessment from Dan that if you got the right people to the line, then that looks a little bit better. I am interested because he also said that he expects Eric to develop into a better free throw shooter. Very interested to see how that's gonna work out. But yeah, that's just something that's got to be fixed. And then the only other highlight from me tonight was the most hell yeah Jaden Ross time play in the history of Jaden Ross's entire UConn career. Almost had me falling over in my chair. Very, very funny.
Thank you, Jake. Yeah, I'd like to see him do a little bit better job of getting to the line. They just didn't have many options tonight. You have Chroma and Riva down there, and that was going to be what it was going to be. Harley Manny, you got anything on that?
No, the one thing about the free throws is I would love to, like, there's not going to be games in the future where Dwayne Karoma and fucking Eric Riva are shooting 10 free throws in the game. I hope.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm not that worried about it. Like,
maybe not what you want, but it might be what you get.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Eric is, but I don't think that, like, it's a lot of Dwayne Karoma, tonight, which tonight was just a lot of Dwayne Karoma. And yeah, that's it's a weakness that's just there.
Yeah. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake. I'm gonna move on to Jaden, and then we're gonna get to wrapping it up here tonight. Mr. Daly, what do you have for us?
Gentlemen, greetings from Penn Station. I just got back in from Philly where I covered Nova LaSalle.
Yeah, impressive win for Villanova. They continue to just chug along.
Yeah, best defensive effort I've seen from that group so far, and I've seen fucking 4 times already if you count the exhibition. So I think Kevin has him ahead of schedule, even if he's sandbagging all the Philly media, who I've had to tell numerous times that it should have taken 2 or 3 years to warm up to everybody, just like it did in Seton Hall. So we'll see how that goes into the conference season. Connor's recap is up for those of you still listening that haven't had a chance to read it. I was very happy that he got a great game. Wish the result could have been on the other side, but it is what it is. That loss isn't going to hurt anybody. I thought in Hot Balls, I saw your tweet while I was either waiting for the train or on the train coming back across the river.
People
You're
see my
dead on
tweets in a
because
lot of different places.
True.
you're dead on when you said it reminded you of the Kansas game, because that's the first thing that I thought of from 2 years ago also. Early deficit, fight back with a chance to win it at the end, come up just short against a team that's probably going to be a high seed and either won't make the second weekend or gets knocked out of the Sweet 16. So good job by you on that. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
I agree with me too.
As you should.
I can't believe they're going to lose to Sam Houston State in the second round. With that team. It should be impossible.
I actually have a home game tomorrow. I don't know if I've ever been this thrilled to be at Carnesecca, because I've been all over the fucking eastern seaboard between now and then. So St. John's Bucknell actually comes at a good time tomorrow night.
Oh God.
Anyway, did anyone talk about the shocker quotes that I spent the last 10 minutes trying to fucking wrap my head around? What's going on there?
I assure you, Jaden, check out the Spotify download tomorrow. Oh, brother, did we go in on that shit.
Oh, Jesus. I'm a big Shaka guy, but I could not fucking defend this.
Yeah, I like him a lot too, but he sounds like a McKinsey consultant now.
Yeah, I got nothing on that, boys. I really fucking don't.
It's crazy. It's like, being like some religious fanatic with this. And just be like, I'm just going to self-immolate myself just to prove a point that nobody's trying to prove anymore.
Yeah, he's a really good coach, but he has to crawl out of his own ass on this one.
Unbelievable. Oh, let me not hold you guys up. You guys want to go to sleep just as well as I do, and I got to get into Queens. If you're going to be in Hartford on Sunday, I will see you there. I'll stop by 239 at some point before the game. Sam Fetterman will be joining me. Connor's got the night off, and you get the other 2 people instead. Love you guys, and we'll talk Sunday.
Take care. Look forward to seeing you. That's typical Jaden. Was he at UConn, Arizona? No, but UConn Bryant, you bet your ass he'll be there with an additional contributor. I love it. And that's what's next, Hot Balls. Listen, it's one of the few breathers on the schedule. Yes. But they need the time. It's actually, especially given the injury situation, UConn effectively has 8 days off now.
Yeah.
So this is what it is tonight. The result sucks, but love the heart and determination. They just got translated on the court, and the tweaks, it seems fixable. And tonight they got beat by the best team in the country right now. Thankfully, it is November 20th.
It's Arizona's month. We should have known better.
We saw this
it's
coming.
Their month. They get a whole month just to them. It's like DePaul on Wednesday night. They get a whole night just to themselves, the Big East tournament.
And I do want to shout out. I mean, they had a lot of fans that night, and they were really mouthing to a lot of U of A chants. And my thought is fair fucks. Like, I was impressed. Really, it was a really hostile walk back to the North Garage. Like, really hostile. I was stunned. Like, I haven't seen that much spice between UConn students and opposing fan base in a while. It was interesting. Maybe we end up in a league with them sometime soon. Probably not. But Yeah. So sucks, but on to Sunday and the non-Jared Grasso Bryant Bulldogs. I love that Dan scheduled them once the one coach he hates was gone.
I wonder if Grasso's going to be there.
I don't believe so because he is coaching someplace now. The Knox School. He's the head coach at the Knox School. Prep
Yes.
School, I believe.
Yes.
But that will be 6:30 on Sunday on Peacock. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. And we will join you fine folks in the vicinity of 9 p.m. I'm guessing maybe 9:30 to break down whatever the fuck that looks like.
We're going to break that down. A Bryant basketball game. We're going to break it down. I don't think Jamie and Christian is going to be as spicy as Grasso. But who knows? Maybe he is.
No.
By the way, they go from playing us to Mercy.
Oh, that's a difference. That's a difference. The Bryant Bulldogs checking in at 1-4 this year. Losses to Siena, Georgia. It's a tough schedule. Siena, Georgia Tech, Valpo, and Vatech. They beat Dartmouth. So
it's a quality win. Assert some dominance over those nerds.
I refuse to recognize any America East that does not feature the Hartford Hawks.
I know. Makes me want to throw up in a bucket.
Damn it. They almost pulled it off tonight, Hot Balls. They fucking almost.
They almost did. Look, I am not dispirited about that. Just more annoyed. I just hate it. I just hate. So one thing I hate about this sport, when you just get banged up and you go and you're like, fuck, we're going to lose a game. And you get into the game and you're like, oh my God, we would definitely smoke these clowns. I think if we had Mullins, we probably would have smoked him too. Like just any like one thing you kind of move around, I think would have dramatically like I don't think Solo and Alex are getting as suffocated with a pillow. Braylon's out there, right? I think things change. The Terrace is out there. That's what's frustrating. It's an opportunity.
Did you see tonight? I tweeted this out that we can close on this. It's a fun piece of trivia. Arizona is now the 11th non-conference team to ever win at Gamble Pavilion. Have you seen the list?
Oh God, it's got to be a pretty sexy list. We've got Wagner. Wagner's on there, right?
Yes, they are.
We've got Yale is on there.
Yes, they are.
Pretty sure Columbia is on there as well.
No, they are not.
They're not?
Nope.
Didn't they beat us in the all 8 years? Or I'm just confusing that.
Nope. They went to OT.
St. Joseph's is definitely on there.
Yes, they are.
They are on there. I'm going to go ahead and say, give me a second. I know this. I can do this. I think I can.
I will give you this hint. It's a lot of NIT games.
Northeastern.
Yes.
Northeastern is on that list. The NIT. Who? 2015, who beat us at home, Arizona State. I believe it was.
So Arizona's finally as good as Arizona State.
Yeah, Arizona State. Locked us up pretty bad. Pretty sure Texas is on there.
Yes.
I am pretty sure Temple is on there.
Nope. It was a conference game.
Oh, shit. Oh, I can't believe that happened.
No.
Stanford.
Nope.
You sure?
Yes.
2014. Wednesday, December 2018. December 18th.
We played them in Hartford.
Oh, Gamble. There's got to be a really funny one in there.
There's a couple.
I'll
give you years. 1990 or 2001 NIT.
97's got to have a funny one in there too.
It does. That's one of them. Oh no, 97 doesn't because they made the NIT Final Four.
Oh yeah, yep.
The Garden.
Yep, I remember that.
There's a game from 1997
would be the other ones. Oh, the funniest one. How could I have forgot that one? Detroit Mercy.
Yes. Detroit Mercy in 01.
That is a spectacular one to have on that.
It's actually not the funniest one.
It's not. It can't get any worse than Detroit Mercy. That's got to be the worst one.
Sure.
How could it I'm looking at. I'm like, I'm playing all the hits right now. I got 09 up. I mean, 08 up rather. 07. We had some doozies during that.
Please go to 1993.
I don't have 93 up. I'm cheating on KenPom. Going through various years.
Should I just tell you the rest?
1990. Yeah, go for it.
Florida State.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the one.
That was 93, right?
No, Jackson State.
Wait, Florida State was one of the teams that beat us at home? What year did they beat us at home?
I'd have to check, but it was in the record book.
I was going to say, if it's 93, that team was a 3 seed. That was a very good team.
It might have been the ACC Big East Challenge, which was the thing that happened. This game definitely was. I don't remember this game like ever in my consciousness. They lost to NC State 60-59 in 1992.
I don't remember that game either. Didn't they get him back later in the tournament too?
They might have. That was the one where Rashad Phillips went nuclear. Apparently,
I don't remember that game at all.
It was on CBS. I was also 8 and lived in New York City, but still. Yeah. So 11 teams have now won non-conference at Gampel, sadly, as Arizona tipped the cap, pulls the inside fucking straight, and UConn's down 2 starters, and they just eke it out. So it sucks, but I'm also feeling fine with it. Maybe we see them down the road one more time, and maybe we have a whole team.
It's nice when you have a whole team, an entire basketball team of all of the players.
Still hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting.
One of these days, we're going to see it all together. And it's going to be a question of who leaves us next.
Don't. Oh, no.
Just goes to show how much shit you got to have to go the right way in order to win it all.
I think we have everything we need to win it all. And tonight really taught me that. But it also taught me we're going to need to have all of it available.
We have it all, but we also need it all.
It can't be on layaway. We need it available to be used.
Oh, Nelly. All right. Well, we'll see everybody on Sunday after the Bryant game. UConn takes on the Bulldogs at the People's Arena. I think it's 6:30 tip time.
Yep.
And we will be
on Peacock. Enjoy.
On the cock. If you want to see it, you got to be on the cock.
It's not. I'm sorry. It's even better. It's on True TV.
Oh.
You want some real diabolical shit. Leading into Jared Kotler's Impractical Jokers, UConn Bryant.
Amazing. It's a great night of programming, if you ask me. So we'll be back 6 or probably 9:30-ish to recap whatever happens on Sunday. Hopefully just a team full of healthy, happy Huskies. That is what I'm hoping. And then it'll be time to eat some turkey and go on Thanksgiving break and not have to be in Maui this year. Instead, we get Illinois at Black Friday on the 28th. So we'll see you guys on Sunday. But until then, guys, you all know the routine. Have a great rest of your week and keep in touch with yourselves, everybody. Good night.